The chief of staff to Republican Governor Kristi Noem recently made a bit of a shocking comparison, saying that the existence of transgender athletes is comparable to terrorism. Yes, terrorism. So now Mark Miller is the interim chief of staff to the pro-Trump South Dakota governor, and he made the statements in regards to Senate Bill 46. Senate Bill 46 would allow school officials to be sued over allowing transgender girls and women to participate on all-female teams. So this is one of those nonsense culture war issues that are happening, that conservatives have been glomming onto. Let's fight the gay, let's fight the trans people, let's keep them from, being able to participate in sports. And I love how they claim to be, oh no, we're just looking out for the girls. We're looking out for the we're looking out for the girls in the team. We're being feminist. No, you're not. You're being anti in every single different way. Anti-feminist. All right, so now more details here. Following public testimony in the House State Affairs Committee on Wednesday, Miller told lawmakers that even though the state has only seen one transgender girl perform during the last decade, the goal of the measure is preventative. Quote, it's sort of like terrorism. You see it over there, and you don't want it to get to here. Terrorism. Do you actually believe that transgender girls being in sports is the equivalent of Osama bin Laden? And you got to put a stop to it. What are they going to drone transgender athletes? This is ridiculous. Ridiculous. It's insane. Absolutely insane. Now, look, again, if you want to talk about fairness in competition, I get that. We all want it to be as fair as possible, right? You want people to be able to compete. Well, guess what? Sports is never fair. Somebody like me, I suck at sports. I'm never going to be good at sports. Now, am I saying that somebody, who has a natural advantage in sports, like somebody, I don't know, who's a little bit leaner, a little bit taller, I'm only 5'9", okay? If I could look at somebody at 6 foot and I look at him and say, you competing, you have an unfair advantage. You are Osama bin Laden. No, that's fucking ridiculous. That's absolutely ridiculous. It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Again, things aren't always going to be 100% fair when it comes to competition, okay? Again, some people are more skilled, some people are in better shape, some people are naturally being able to carry a little bit more blood, oxygen in their blood, etc. And you know what? We still have competition. You can still compete, and by the way, you can still win. So that's not the only determining factors in winning a contest, being strength, skill, etc. Yes, they are contributing factors, of course, but it's not the sole determinants. And by the way, the other thing is, and this is why teams are really important too. You have a team. Yes, we all have our strengths and weaknesses, right? So now a team is there to support, basically help you with your strengths and help minimize your weaknesses. And so that's the importance of teams, right? So like one person may be stronger, another person might not be as fast, or another person might be faster. You work together as a team. The whole point of team sports, right? So, and I say that because they're not letting trans women, trans girls go on these teams because, we think that they have a unfair advantage. While they may have some advantages, they also have disadvantages as well, just like every single other human. And by the way, the advantages that I mentioned are not nearly as large as conservatives or anti-trans activists make them out to be. A 2016 review of all the research into transgender athletes found no papers that provided any evidence of trans women having any athletic advantages over cis women. A 2017 analysis, a systemic review of literature relating to sport participation in competitive sport policies reported that, again, no direct or comprehensive evidence of transgender women having an athletic advantage over cisgender counterparts at any stage in their transition. There was another study done by Dr. Jack Turbin, a psychiatrist at Stanford University School of Medicine who works with trans youth, and Dr. Timothy Roberts, a researcher who analyzed the athletic performance of transgender Air Force members. Their results, inconclusive. We just don't have enough evidence. We don't have enough examples. Transgender people in sports, there's just not enough of them to really make a comprehensive study. And so you've got two things, already two meta-analysis that are saying we don't see any real advantage that trans women have over cisgender women, and another one saying, well, I don't know, there's just not enough data. And so, look, by the way, here's what Dr. Turbin said on that. It's not zero, but it's not a lot, and referring to the data, of course, and people will search far and wide to find an example of this being a problem. Well, that's how you know it isn't. Look, and by the way, I've also seen other studies where transgender women, according to some researchers, have still a little bit more muscle mass a year after transition. I believe they only lose about 5%, according to this specific study. And even if that's true, again, that's a year over starting hormone replacement therapy, HRT. Now, again, having a little bit more strength doesn't mean that you completely will obliterate any chance that a cis woman would have. And so, again, in the context of team sports and the fact that everybody's different, some of these advantages, potential advantages, don't always mean victory. I think it's actually a non-issue here. And I know that there are people who will cherry pick certain examples, one or two, because there's not that many transgender athletes, honestly, that have been famous or have been made famous. But you can count on basically a handful where you had transgender, swimmers, for example, that won in certain, or runners that have won. But then you can also look and see ones that have lost as well and have placed last, even in some cases. So, you can go and really pick out those anecdotes and cherry pick them. But in reality, again, it all means nothing at the end of the day. This is school sports. And I think it's insane that there's such a culture war focus on these transgender youth that are just wanting to not just compete, but again, make relationships, have friends, and I mean, friendships and camaraderie and being able to be on a team in a team environment. I mean, that's really the focus here. It should be the focus of, hey, they just want to be part of a team and be part of a group and have fun. But no, we can't have that. We can't have that. Apparently not in, anywhere, any of these schools. I just think it's a non-issue. Now, there's one current high schooler that also argued in favor of greater inclusivity. This is a female student, Brianna Brings Plenty from Little Wound, South Dakota. So she says, I welcome trans girls on my team because I know, just like me, trans girls deserve the opportunity to play sports and be recognized and respected for who they are. Hera Kingi, who is also transgender and a former high school cheerleader from Rapid City, also testified, saying, quote, not being able to participate would have been devastating to me. It would have stopped me from meeting my favorite people and making my most cherished memories. That's what they're fighting against. I mean, that's what these Republicans, you think that is the same as terrorism? to wanting to be able to do these things, you know, and to be on these teams and to meet these people. You think them wanting to do that, to be a part of something, to be a part of a team who identifies as what they identify as, is the same as terrorism? You're mental. There's something wrong with you. But again, this is the Republican culture war. And that's all it is. It is a culture war issue that isn't actually against or in favor of fairness. The only thing they want to do is to appease ignorant followers that hate and that don't understand and hate trans people. That's it. And they do so, of course, in order to get votes and power from the ignorant.